a denial of the right to vote is still a deadly wrong. The vote is the most powerful instrument ever devised by man for breaking down injustice and destroying the terrible walls which imprison men because they're different from other men.
More than 6 million individuals in the United States have lost the right to vote because they have a felony conviction.
Florida is only one of 4 states that permanently strips these rights away from American citizens.
You're just left out into zero land, you know, you're a non-person.
I think about the person I was, and it pains me to think that I did what I did. But I'm not the same person. So should I not have a voice anymore in my future, in the future of my nieces, in the future of my country?
So where are we going today?
We are going to the Orlando Work Release Center. A lot of women there have done a lot of time. Not everyone has done a lot of time, but a lot of women there have done 20 plus years. This was the facility that I came to. Orlando's the town where I lived. This is the town that I got in trouble in. A lot of people go away from the towns that they were in trouble in. I felt like I needed to come back here and I needed to do good because this was the town that I messed up in.
My name is Suzanne Manning. I'm the reentry coordinator at Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. My job is to assist anyone reentering society with any need they may have. In 1992, I was sentenced to 30 years in prison for grand theft. I embezzled money from an employer. I actually served 19 of the 30 years. I was released on good behavior, and I am currently serving 20 years of probation. I'm in my 7th year.
Even going today is a mixed emotion. Even though I'm excited about picking April up, I'm also nervous about being back on that property. And it happens every time I go there though. I go often and I take clothes, drop off clothes for the women. And I always get a little nervous about it. I'm not as nervous as I used to be, but I mean, I just still do get nervous.
I think that I'm still paying the consequences of it in many different areas. And one of the main rights that I've lost is the right to vote.
Please welcome to the stage Desmond Meade.
Of the 1.68 million people in Florida who cannot vote, African Americans only account for 1/3. So that means that there are 3 times as many people in the state of Florida who cannot vote that don't look like me. They look like most of you out in this audience today. And so I know that rather than it being an African American issue, it's an all-American issue. When I looked at this system, what I seen was that the only victims of this system was us. In spite of the fact that the system told us we would never have any movement on this issue. As of last week, we have qualified the Voting Restoration Amendment for the 2018 ballot. So on November 6th, voters will be asked to decide whether or not to restore the ability to vote to individuals who've completed all portions of their sentence, to include parole and probation. It will not apply, however, to people who are convicted of murder or felony sexual offenses.
The United States remains one of the most restrictive countries in the world because of its felony disenfranchisement policies. We estimate that up to 1.4 million Floridians will get their rights restored if the state votes in support of Amendment 4 this November.
I feel like there's something else there. This is my Let My People Vote shirt. Florida is not an easy state to pass a citizens initiative. In fact, we have to have at least 60% of the voters who vote on amendment vote yes. in order for this amendment to pass. We're very excited and confident that this is going to happen. I can tell you right now, our latest polling results show us that we have over 73% support for Amendment 4. This is an issue that impacts people from all walks of life.
You know, I mean, I spent 19 years behind the fences. I saw all types of people. There's not one person that I meet that I don't think they can be a convicted felon because there's not a certain look.
At the end of the day, this transcends partisan politics. You know what? Let me tell you, when I got in trouble, the police didn't ask me if I was Democrat or Republican. When I went before the judge, he didn't ask that either. So I know that the issues that have impacted me and millions of others of citizens across the country did not see racial or political lines, right? And this is a human issue.
This is the time to realize that when a debt is paid, it's paid. I was wrong. I am guilty. I admitted that, and I've taken the sentence that was given to me, and I'm doing my time. But my crime was committed 27 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 27 years ago. 27 years ago, I think about the person I was, and it pains me to think that I did what I did. And the facts are that I work hard on a daily basis to be the person I am today. My great niece, she's 7 years old, and I punished her. I put her on timeout, and I said, you have to sit there for 10 minutes. After about 2 minutes, she turned around, she looked at me, she said, Aunt Susie, am I gonna be punished forever? And that's sometimes how I feel. You know, is it gonna go on forever?
When it comes to citizenship, nothing speaks more to that than being able to vote. So when you take away that ability to vote, you know, you basically relegate someone to second-class citizenship status.
Getting your rights back is what you really, really want. Because that's when you can be a part of everything. You're just left out into zero land. You're a non-person. And I don't like that. It's not fun. And I don't want anybody else to be that way. This one right here is the dog that alerted us when they were coming up and ready to throw grenades in the maintenance tent at midnight. I stopped in my tracks and didn't do anything, and I saw one person run out and to the next row of barrels, and then on the second person that ran out, I squeezed off a round, and just as I was getting ready to squeeze off the next round is when the bullet hit me in the chest, and it missed a main artery by an inch, and my heart sacked by 2 inches and went through the upper part of my lung, and I lost 15% of that. The picture I have here is of me recuperating in Zama, Japan. Didn't start really affecting me until early 1975, and I would have these sweats that would last 4 days, and then I'd just be perfect after that. No illnesses, no colds, nothing, just sweat. And I guess that was the beginning of what is now known as PTSD. And the reason I'm here today is because my daughter was involved in an auto accident in November of '07. And because of that accident, the doctor, he had given her 4 different prescriptions, and I knew there was something going on by the medications and how she was feeling and never getting to feel any better. And I started growing marijuana in my garage, and I had some ready just that day that she died. And the paramedics alerted the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department came in, and that's what happened. So I was just doing something to try to save my daughter, and who wouldn't? And then I get punished for the rest of my natural life. And I just think it's totally wrong to do that to someone that jumped through the hoops and did everything they wanted you to do, and all the law said, and that you were good and fine and dandy with the law, except for that now you can't vote for the rest of your life. You know, yeah, I'm mad. And seeing that I'm the age of 72 and a half, I don't really think I'm gonna be able to vote myself, but if I can help anybody else to vote, that's what I'm doing this for, and no other reason.
You know, those type of stories is what really drives me. You know, when you hear an American citizen wondering if they're gonna die before they get to vote again.
Good morning. The Executive Clemency Board meeting is now called to order.
Florida has one of the most extreme policies when it comes to felony disenfranchisement. Individuals are disenfranchised for life unless the governor pardons residents with a felony conviction or grants them clemency. Residents seeking to get their rights restored have to go through an application process, and that's not the end of it. They actually have to go in person to a hearing, and the Clemency Board meets 4 times a year. And because of the volume of petitions that the Clemency Board reviews, residents who are seeking to have their rights restored may be before the Clemency Board for a few minutes, where they go through an interview process.
So just so you know, there's no right to clemency. There's no standards. Each of us have the right opportunity to make a decision based on what we believe.
It's based on their intuition and on their gut.
As far as the Clemency Board, oh my gosh, it was a complete nightmare. That system needs to change. I was charged with 2 counts of armed robbery. My brother had robbed some Subways. They said they would drop the accessory charges and drop my 8.5 years to 3 years if I would plea out the heavier charges. I filed for my rights the minute I stepped out of prison. I wanted my rights back because I wanted to have a voice. I'm a taxpayer. I pay quite a bit of taxes every year, being a business owner, and I wanted to have a voice. A voice. That's all I wanted is a voice. It took them 2 years to send me a letter to even acknowledge it. It took another 7 years for them to even start working on the case, and then it was actually 2013 before I was able to see Rick Scott, and then he denied me for 3 speeding tickets.
Number 49, Joseph James Galasso is here.
I feel that I still owe the great state of Florida, and I'm going to do all I can to try to help the guys that get out to not be institutionalized as they acclimate back into our community.
So, you believe you turned your life around. You've been out of prison 11 years, you've got all these traffic violations because you've turned your life around. But if you really don't care about the law, you have all these traffic violations, it's hard to say, gosh, man, you really believe in the law.
He took a small glimpse of my life and made a decision without ever looking any further to all the things I've put back in the community. This is one of the rooms that the guys have stayed in when they get out of prison. Just had a guy that was living here a couple months ago. He actually went back to crime and ended up stealing my stuff. But anyway, that's one of the rooms.
Does that deter you at all?
Absolutely not. I'm a family man. I own my own home. I own my own business. I've done well for myself, and I've helped many other men transition from prison back into the society, which there's not a big long list of guys doing that. I want the people behind me to be able to have a choice, to be able to have a voice. I pray that they don't have to feel the way I did in front of Rick Scott that day.
Ready to do what I need to do. Very nervous. Still just doesn't feel real.
Well, it's real.
No, it don't feel real.
Helping them get out now and getting them on their feet and watching them fly, I mean, it's just very fulfilling. It just makes, when I lay my head down at night, I feel like I've done good for the day. I've paid back to society. I've helped someone.
Have there ever been a time in your life when you wanted to be forgiven? Deep inside each and every one of us, right, is this belief about forgiveness, redemption, and restoration. We've all made mistakes of some sort, and at some point in our lives, we ask for forgiveness. When the debt is paid, it's paid. And so we don't want people to carry around this scarlet letter of shame for the rest of their lives. At the end of the day, they've paid their debt. We should allow them to move on with their lives.